Hi, this is Maximilian Robinson with Change the Game podcast. And as you know, in this podcast, we love to pivot to different scenarios and situations. Briefly, to speak about myself, for those who don't know me, is I moved around a lot growing up. I am originally from New Jersey, but I lived in three states. I lived in New Jersey for my younger days. I moved to Pennsylvania for elementary school. And then once I graduated elementary school, I went to high school back in New Jersey, but it was in a completely different town, so I didn't know anyone. And then now, going into college, I came to New York, and I didn't know anyone up here. So I brought someone on today who I feel has a very similar experience. I would like to announce my friend Eva to the show. So Eva, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good.
So I hope everything is all right. But I know that your experience is very similar to mine, but your experience has a lot more detail to it. So if you could you please tell everyone where you're from and your journey to coming here on this podcast today?
Oh, definitely. So I'm from Belarus, from Minsk specifically. It's the capital city of Belarus. I grew up there and I lived there for 16 years. And when I was 16, I moved to Georgia, the country, not the state. And after that, I lived there for 2 years and I moved here. So it's been a while. So it took me some time to come here from Belarus to another country and then here. And I've been here for 2 years. And well, I'm writing for a newspaper, The Dolphin. That's why I'm I knew Max, and he was able to ask me to do this podcast, and now I'm here.
So yeah, you have a very interesting story and I love hearing about it now because one thing that stuck out to me is not only have you moved, but you moved to different countries. So you started at Belarus and then you moved to Georgia, then you moved to America. So what would be to you, what was the biggest change? What was the biggest thing you had to adjust to when moving to different countries?
Well, it was very two different moves, I would say. When I moved for the first time, I was 16, and it was my first big major move. And I moved on my own. I attended a boarding school there, so I essentially just bought a ticket. Well, the program bought a ticket for me, and I flew from Minsk to Tbilisi. This is the capital city of Georgia, and I was there for 2 years, and I was just studying. Essentially, this is my only responsibility that I had to do. All of the food and housing, everything was figured out by the program, and I didn't have to take care of it essentially. So I was like there, adjusting to the culture, adjusting to living with different people from different cultures, because I was participating in a program that involved people from 6 different countries, and we were living all together in a boarding school, and there were also people going to the school from different countries to that to the to those six. So it was like a lot of countries, a lot of different cultural backgrounds, and a lot of studying. But essentially, I didn't have to do any adult things like buying food for myself. I don't know, paying for rent, utilities, everything like this. And when I moved to US, I was older. I was 19, and I already had some experience, and I knew how to I don't know how to study and how to talk to people, but I had no idea how to rent apartments or do anything like that. So it was a different adjustment in terms of I had way more responsibility, and I didn't have as much resources as I had in Georgia that would be able to help me and assist with that. And I was on my own a lot here. And again, it's like it's so much farther than Georgia from my home country. Georgia is like three hours of flying, and here it's like 16 was yeah, and now especially it's very hard to do. So they're like completely two different moves and completely that involved many different things. But overall, I think in 2 years that I'm here, I'm kind of adjusting to how everything is going here.
Wow, that's awesome. And again, I applaud you for speaking out about it because I think this is an awesome story. And the fact that you were able to move to different countries, and I'm sure, as you were mentioning, there's a language barrier oftentimes when you go to a different country. So, did you have to experience that when you first moved to Georgia? And then from Georgia to coming here, did you already know English or did you have to pick up different languages along the way?
Well, yeah. So for Georgia, their primary language is Georgian, but they also part of some people speak Russian since it was the country that was previously in the Soviet Union. So they're like older people who still speak Russian, but because of the conflicts and the war that has been going on between Russia and Georgia, younger people they tend to not speak Russian and they learn English instead of Russian. So it was essentially like a lot of Georgians around us that were speaking English and we were like just communicating in English. And but in general, living in a country now that I lived in America, living in a country where you don't know the language of the country is kind of it is hard. Especially when you need to figure out everything and when you walk around the city and you just don't understand the language, that's kind of weird and hard. But when it came to America, it was even though I knew English at that point pretty well, but it was weird in terms of like culture, pop cultural background because we were discussing this we discussed this with my friends a lot that uh, things that are popular here and pop cultural things that everyone knows here abroad are not as popular or uh, the other way around, something that is not as popular here, not as popular there. So it was weird to just the first, I think, few months when I was communicating with people, they had some references that I had no idea what was that. And he's like, I don't know, sports references or like movie, TV show references. I had no idea what that was. It was like a separate language for me. But it's fun to learn, I think.
No, I agree. And if there's any way I could travel, because I've been to several countries in Europe, but my main thing is the language barrier. That's always been something that I'm trying to work on. I'm learning Spanish at the time, and hopefully I can pick up French later on. But I know from just this conversation alone, you had to go and endure through a lot. So, again, great job. But I do want to give you a scenario because I think it's really important that the audience knows about this. So, was it your decision to move abroad or was this like a family decision? What was the turnaround on that?
So, in Belarus, there are not great opportunities for education. And when I was studying at school, I didn't really like it. Like, I didn't like it at all, essentially. I didn't go there. I had the opportunity to skip it a lot because I was playing tennis professionally. So I had the possibility to just
Oh,
train instead of that. And I was basically like studying English and math on my own without any school involved. And I always wanted to, and I was doing that because I always wanted to leave the country and just like go anywhere, just like for like opportunities for education and different lifestyle choices, everything. So with Georgia, I applied to a program that was sponsored by European Union. It was a very random situation. It was like the first year I was in the first cohort, and they paid for all of the expenses, and I went through all of the like interview and testing processes, and I just got the opportunity to go there. Essentially, it was like a lot of luck involved in there, and I went there for studying, living in boarding school and studying. And in America, it was essentially the same. I was just applying to colleges, and I got the best opportunity here, and I just came here. So it was my decision to move. I've always wanted to move to have better opportunities of living and education and stuff like that.
So now you brought up a very interesting topic, and I didn't realize this to the extent now that I do on this podcast, but you're an athlete. You play tennis, you were playing professionally, and I'm not saying I wasn't playing professionally with my sport. My main sport is basketball, but I do see some similarities because I was at a point 4 years ago where I had to decide between playing as a collegiate athlete. I had opportunities at the collegiate level to play basketball. I was offered by different schools. But in addition to that, I also had another opportunity on the table to be involved with acting, being on television, being in commercials, so on and so forth. But if I signed the acting contract, I wouldn't be able to play collegiately at the time because the college over here, their rules are basically if you are seen on a commercial and you get paid for it, you can't because college athletes weren't allowed to get paid back then. Now it's changed. Now you can, but at the time of when I was making this decision, if I chose that route, which is signing the actor's contract, I wouldn't be able to play collegiately, which I ended up doing. But it was a very interesting choice because now, since you brought it up, you were a professional tennis player. You made the decision. Now, I'm going to bring it back up. I'm not saying you regret anything, but we'll talk about it. So, you preferred to choose better education and graduating over being the pro tennis athlete, the potential to grow as an athlete and maybe become like a megastar in that field. So you over those two options, you preferred the education over the tennis opportunity.
Well, essentially, I played tennis to because there was an opportunity to go to and play for American college. That's why I played tennis essentially. That was my goal. I was participating in the international tournaments and all of the stuff just to be able to play for American college. But I did not really enjoy playing tennis, to be honest. I really liked reading and learning and everything like that more than sports. I was doing that because I had the idea that if I'm gonna be doing that, if I'm gonna be playing, I would have the opportunity to like study and learn, I guess. That was my way of trying to be in a college. It just turned out to be that when I was in 10th grade, yeah, when I was in 10th, it's sophomore year of high school, I guess. When I was in sophomore year of high school, I just got the offer to like leave and do something else. And I did like the day that I got the offer, I just approached my coach and said, I'm leaving. That's it. And I remember that it was June 1st when I got the offer. And usually, because of the school and stuff like that, like the main training season is summer. It's like in the summer you train like, I don't know, 8-10 hours a day. You just like spend all your day on court. And I didn't have a single summer since it was like 6 or 7 when I was not training. So it was like my only summer after that when I was just not doing anything. I don't know. I went to vacations. I like slept till 12 p.m. or something. That was amazing. But yeah, I was not really choosing because I really wanted to study always, not to play tennis.
Well, then that's awesome then. So I can sit here and say you don't have any regrets. So let's say you had the opportunity decision again. It was you could continue playing tennis or you could just you have an opportunity to get better education. You would choose the same exact decision again if given the opportunity.
Yes, I play tennis once a year every summer. I step on the court. I just try to. It's like I don't know, a point for myself to that I still know how to play, but that's it. I play like once a year max. So that's it. I definitely don't regret. I'm so grateful for the all of the years that I've been playing tennis and all of the connections that I got from there, all of the friendships, everything. But I would not do that again.
But I do know that you made a very big move to coming over here to the United States. So, is there any kind of future plans or any kind of situation where you want to return back home and stay there permanently? Or do you say that, okay, I'm here at the United States, I'm learning the culture better, I want to stay here long term and stick it out here? Or do you say, well, I like it over here, but I want to go back home and have my family there and live with the customs I'm used to? So which would you choose as of right now, if given the option?
Well, I have a long answer and a short answer. Which one do you want?
I'm open for both. I mean, whichever one makes you feel the most comfortable.
Well, before last semester, I wanted to take like a leave of absence because I was not sure if the university was the right fit for me or like my program was the right fit for me. I just wanted to, and America in general, I was not sure if America is the right is the right country for me. So I wanted to take a leave of absence and like travel or do something like that. But but I eventually ended up not making this decision. I decided to maybe to take it after this semester. However, the war has started in Ukraine, and now I can go back, and I have no idea what I would want to do. I would love to try to go back home at some point, maybe to live there for a little bit, but the situation there is so unstable and it's so hard to be there. And I'm not sure I want to be in a place where there is a possibility of war going on all the time and where there is so much political pressure from everywhere. So ideally, I would love to go back home when, I don't know, the president of my country changes, the president of Russia changes, and something happens there. But for that to take place, there should be a lot of changes to take place. So I'm here for now.
What
I guess.
if anything? And again, I my condolences as well because I know it's a serious situation. But if any changes, what would you suggest to the people listening? Is there anything we can do to help as far as to help spread awareness, or could you also give maybe something that you think the government should do in your country to make things better?
Well, yeah, the government of my country should stop the war, essentially, because they are very involved in that. But for the people here, donations are always great. There is a international rescue committee, and Adelphi University has a page that allows everyone, students and non-students, to just easily donate to the international rescue committee. They're providing help for the people affected by the war, so that's the best option to do that.
Oh, that's awesome. And no, I cannot thank you enough for just taking the time to speak to me. I learned a lot, even though we've had some talks and conversations here and there. I think I've learned more just from this 20-minute or so interview than ever. So, like, I thought this was awesome. And again, everyone, please check out that International Relief Fund. Eva, if you want, if you could send it over, like if you have any links or something, just send it to me. I'll
Yeah.
definitely support it and do what I can to help. But anyone else who's listening and who will listen, please make sure you donate because we're all in this together. So, Eva, thank you so much. I appreciate the help. And again, everyone, please make sure you stay tuned to our next episode because we have only more to come. So, Eva, thank you so much. Take care. I hope you have an awesome day. And for everyone else, please make sure you're always changing the game. It's Maximilian Robinson. Thank you for watching Change the Game.